Hello, and welcome to the My Father Said podcast, where we talk all things faith, finance, and family. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan. I'm a father and a son.
And hey, I'm Robert. I'm Ryan's father, and I'm a son myself.
We're so happy you're with us today. Today, we are going to be talking about, hey, do I need a financial advisor? You may find yourself asking a question as you go along with us and you listen to these different podcasts that we're going to have, that you may be asking yourself the question, hey, do I need a financial advisor? Do I fit in that category? And if so, when do I need that? And we kind of want to talk about that with you today.
That's right, Ryan. We have people very often wonder, either internally or externally, do I even qualify to be used to use the services of a financial advisor, or what does that entail? What's involved in actually sitting in front of a professional and having them look at my picture, and what are they going to say to me? What are they going to tell me? So we thought we would talk about that today for you out in social media land. And we thought we would do this by first starting with, what exactly is a financial advisor? What does a financial advisor do? Well, to start with, what a financial advisor does is they help people manage their money. And in particularly, they help them manage their money following a specified roadmap. The way I like to describe it is simply like this. You can decide today that you want to get up this morning, pack your bags, and go to San Diego, California from Columbia, South Carolina. And you could start heading west. Or you can sit down and map out the interstates, the secondary roads, where a detour might take place. Do I want to go across the mountains, or do I want to bypass the mountains? Whatever you want to do in that sense, the best and most efficient way to get there. So what a financial advisor does is actually helps an individual best efficiently get from point A to point Z on their financial journey. Whereas an investment advisor basically does just the opposite of that. All the investment advisor does is they sit down, they put a portfolio together for you, and basically they try to make you a return on your money. Now, what we have found in our practices here, and any other financial advisor would say the same thing, very often we have individuals who will come into the office and they will bring their 401k statement or some investment statement, and they will set it on the desk and they'll say, look at this. How's it doing? Yeah. And really what we do is at best, we can shrug our shoulders. We can say, well, it's making a positive return, or it's not making a positive return. But how it's doing in that context is really relative to what are they comparing it to. Yeah. Whereas in a financial plan, when they say, how am I doing? We actually get to look at their plan, the map, and we get to see, are they ahead of pace? Are they on pace? Or are they behind pace? Do they need to make a detour? Right. Do they need to speed up, slow down, change fuel? However you want to describe it, that's what the financial plan does. So whenever a person is trying to determine, first of all, do I need a financial planner? Then the very first thing they need to determine is, have they got any goals and objectives or anything like that they're trying to reach and just don't know how to map it out?
Right. Yeah. So financial planning is very goal-oriented, very specific and tailored to an individual, whereas just investing or investing advice is kind of, hey, are we keeping up with the market? How are we doing in that sense? Yeah. So if you've got goals, if you are goal-oriented, you've got somewhere you want to end up, leaning towards working with a financial planner as opposed to an investment advisor, it's probably where you should be leaning.
Absolutely. So then, the question comes out then, well, when do I hire an advisor? How do I go about doing this? Well, there's got to be some self-realizations, because whenever you are working with a financial advisor, you are forming, I'm going to say this, you're forming a marriage, all right? Because when you sit down in front of a financial advisor, they're going to want to get to know who you are, not only financially, but they want to know who you are from a personal standpoint. They want to understand what your aspirations are, They want to understand what your objectives are, what your goals are. They want to understand what your risk tolerance is. They even want to know your family history. They want to know as much about you as they can so that when they go to start the process of developing a strategy with you, it's one where you realize that this person is deeply, deeply connected into who your psyche is, so that when they are giving you advice when it's raining, when it's snowing, when it's hailing outside, whatever's going on along that journey, that they're able to give you firm direction that you're able to follow and hopefully be comfortable with following, even in the middle of the storms that come.
That's good. That's good. What if, this is all good. What if I don't know what my goals are? What if I need help figuring out? Should I talk with an advisor at that point?
Sure, absolutely. Basically, what most financial advisors would do is if you or someone that would be in that position would come in and actually sit down with a financial advisor and say, hey, I don't know where I'm at. I don't even know where I want to go, but I know I need to be doing something.
Yeah.
And we see a lot of that. Basically, what we do is we help them start putting some targets out there, recognizing that these targets will move as life changes, as it ebbs and flows with marriages, children, change of marriages, someone passing away, you receiving lump sums of monies or anything like that. We recognize, and age and experience. As we recognize that life changes us as we move forward in it, our goals change. So what we do to start with, when a person comes in and they really don't have any firm idea what they want to do, we start creating something. And it might be, hey, I want to retire at this age, and I want to have the equivalent of X number of dollars per month coming in from my investments. Great. Let's take a look at where you are today. Let's see what you've already done. Let's see what you are doing. Let's see what you're capable of doing. And then let's start pointing you in that direction.
All right. So if they need help realizing their goals, they have, maybe they do or maybe they don't have their goals realized, that's something that a financial advisor can help with. Typically, do you see that on the younger clientele or the older clientele that has to need help figuring out what those goals are?
It's across the board.
Okay.
It's across the board. And that's the neat thing about financial planning. So many people have the preconceived misconception that they have to have a certain amount of wealth already accumulated, or they have to have a certain amount of knowledge, or they've got to have all their ducks in a row before they actually sit down in front of a financial advisor. And nothing could be further from the truth.
Yeah.
The time to use a financial advisor is when life events are happening. You want to take charge of them. You're just not sure how to do it. And that's where a financial advisor comes in and shows their worth, because they're able to sit with you and literally lay it out. Here's the strategy. Let's get following it.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, well, what about this? What if someone's got goals and they don't really know how to invest their money? They need help with that. Is that something that a financial advisor helps with? Absolutely.
Using the example a while ago about knowing what you need your money to do, I've shared this before with clients. You're living in a neighborhood, in an area that's got 50 houses in it, and there's this picket fence that runs between you and your neighbor's yard. Well, you and your neighbor are hanging out on the fence, and you're talking one day, and you start talking about your 401k portfolios. Your portfolio might be making 6% a year, and your neighbor's portfolio might be making 10% a year. And the one at 6% is utilizing the services of a financial planner, financial advisor. And that person may begin to think, well, if my neighbor's earning 10, why am I only earning 6? And that's never the real question, because in a financial plan, you know what it is you need your money to earn, which means you know how much risk you must take. The one who's earning the 10%, he might need his money to earn 10%,
Yeah.
but then again, he might only need it to earn 5%, and he's exposing himself to a lot of unnecessary volatility. So with financial planning, you know what your money needs to do when it needs to do it.
Yeah.
Versus in investment planning, as you stated earlier, you're just trying to beat the market.
Right.
But is beating the market what you need your money to do?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. That's such a big part of financial planning because, if we're just looking at numbers, obviously I want to get the higher amount. But if that's not what my plan needs, let's say I'm on the verge of retirement and I don't really need to be exposed to all this risk right before I start drawing on this money. That is such a huge part of when it comes to working with the plan, because it's going to be tailored to you to help us get that return that we need, but also to try and mitigate the risk. And I think that gets lost sometimes. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Another thing that determines the need for a financial planner is if you're going through a major life event. Just for you, you and your wife just had another child.
Yeah, we did.
Right. Congratulations.
12 days old.
Yeah. Congratulations, granddad. Congratulations. But that's one thing. We had a client reach out to us just yesterday. Her father passed away, and we'll be leaving her a sizable asset. So that's going to change her plan all the way around. Unfortunately, we have people whose marriages don't survive, and we have to deal with that as well and help them make wise decisions when they begin to split assets. So anytime a major life event takes place, it's always good to have the non-emotional partner in the financial planning, which is what financial planners are. You've always heard that a lawyer's worst client is himself.
Right.
Well, for a financial planner, that's actually true as well. A financial planner is his own worst client. So whenever it comes to the relationship between the client and the financial advisor, the client is emotionally attached to their assets. The financial planner is not emotionally attached. So one gets to look at it from the emotional side point. The other one gets to look at it from the non-emotional side point. And together, those two come with great synergy to help them make a wise, informed decision.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, the change of life. That's not always just, hey, the birth of a loved one or the loss of a loved one. Some of the stuff that we're seeing today is people are retiring and they are living a lot longer in retirement. And that's a major life change because people go from being, quote unquote, valuable to not being valuable in a sense where they've gotten their purpose and whatnot from work and their community at work, and now they're not. That's a major life change, and that's one that, as modern medicine continues to improve, people are having longer life in retirement. So that's one. Another one would also be, God forbid, there's an injury or something along the lines, and a family member is left either with special needs or a disability. That's going to change the way that they do their planning going forward as well. So there's really anything you can think of that has a life change and it's going to have some kind of impact. That's a great time to work with an advisor if you're not already working with one.
Absolutely. And, speaking on the part about living longer, your brother and yourself need to understand and accept that your mother and I are planning on living a long time. And so we're planning on spending everything that we've accumulated. And what we're planning on leaving you and your brother is good wishes and a house full of clutter for y'all to go through.
That's good.
Okay, yeah. So that's good. Another reason why you would want to use a financial planner is because you need accountability. You need someone to say to you, hey, what you're doing is great and you're well on your way to achieving your financial objectives. However, if you're getting ready to do something that will be detrimental to your financial plan, you need the financial advisor to sit and look at you straight in the eye and say, this is not a wise move.
Yeah.
And to hold you accountable to trying to meet what it is what you say you're trying to do, because things happen.
Sure.
Things happen, and it's real easy for us to lose focus on something that we've got working, such as a financial plan. And if it's running smoothly, just like a clock, 1 second after the next. It's real easy to lose focus of that when something shiny shows up off to the side and, hey, well, let's detour a little bit. Mm-hmm. Say, for example, you've got, I just used this one. You've got some lazy, no good for nothing children who will not work.
Yeah.
And they decide that, well, hey, I'm going to go move in with mom and dad, go back in the basement. And they're in their 30s and 40s, and the next thing you see is you've got mom and dad spending their retirement savings on adult children who will have to figure out how to survive on their own once mom and dad are gone.
Yeah.
And they've spent all of mom and dad's money. So you need accountability to come in and say, listen, what you're doing, we understand your reasons for wanting to do it, but it's not wise.
Right.
And we need to make some hard choices.
That's good. That's good. I don't think this is a major life change, but what if someone just comes into a lump sum of money, they get an inheritance or they win the Powerball or they get some kind of insurance settlement. Is that a good time to talk with a financial advisor? Absolutely.
Absolutely. Because life changes. Once you come into a lump sum of money, especially if it's a sizable amount, things change. Obviously, your appetite changes. They may decide they want to go from the home they're in to a much larger home. Well, that's fine, but that much larger home is going to incur several costs that they don't currently have today. They're going to need the advice of a tax professional. And of course, we don't provide tax advice, but we would put them in front of tax professionals who do. But they're going to need guidance with those type of things simply because the more money you have I know this goes against conventional wisdom with the world out there, but the more money you have, the harder it is to keep it. Simply because the tax code discriminates greatly against anyone who has a high income and individuals who have lots of assets. The tax code actually goes against them versus working for them. In fact, I'll say this, the tax code is designed today to keep people poor and not be motivated to try to do better. So when they come into that, if it's something they did not grow up with, or if it's something they did not accumulate on their own over time and learning how to manage it along their way, if it just comes to them just out of the blue one day, then they've got to change their mindset. And if their mindset isn't already geared for that, their chances of losing that are much greater than they are of keeping it.
Yeah. I don't know the exact statistic, but isn't it something like 90% of inheritances are spent within the first 5 years?
Yes.
If someone, they don't have that accountability that we talked about.
Absolutely.
So that's another thing too, that we have found is it's one thing to spend, you get an inheritance and you go and blow it, right? That's one thing. But the thing that we have found dealing with our clients is when they have an asset that's left from mom and dad and then they go and spend it, there's just this regret that they carry for years into the future because that was mom and dad's and now I don't have anything.
Right.
And so that's another thing as well. We're kind of talking around it, but we're not saying it. Financial advisors can also really help protect you from yourself.
Yes.
In that sense, if you'll listen to counsel, they can help you not be your worst enemy. So
absolutely. I remember years ago, I had this one lady who was a client, and she trusted us with everything. She had 2 daughters. And before she passed away, she told me, this one daughter is going to listen to everything you say and do it. And she said, this other daughter isn't going to listen to anything you say. She said, but I'm leaving them equal. And so she passed away, and she did. And I will say to you that within 1 year's time after her mother's passing, that young lady phoned our office, and she kept slowly but surely pulling money out of that account. And it was for things such as the following. Her boyfriend needed a new stereo in his car. Her boyfriend needed a transmission in his vehicle. her boyfriend needed new tires, et cetera, et cetera. And I remember one day I said to her, I called her by her name. I said, let me ask you a question. I said, this is money that came from your dad's untimely death and the insurance settlement that came from it. I said, this boyfriend of yours, I said, where's he going to get money from when you run out? She said, I don't know. I guess he'll have to go someplace else. I said, well, why don't you tell him you've ran out? She fired us.
Yeah.
But I mean, it happens. It happens. So there's a financial advisor will try their best to protect a person from themselves, but that person has to be willing to receive counsel, as you said.
Yeah, it's only going to go so far. Okay. So again, just to reiterate, a financial advisor is going to help someone, if they'll listen, get from point A to B, or help position them in the best way possible to get from point A to point B. Some of those situations where someone would need a financial advisor isn't always, a retiree with $1 million. It's not always that situation. It can be, and we welcome that. But really, anytime there's a will to work, a will to plan, and you've got some sort of life change, that's a good time to work with an advisor.
Absolutely.
So, you're unsure how to invest the money. You need help setting goals. You're going through a life event, or you're getting some kind of settlement or some large sum of money. Those are all good times to work with an advisor if they're willing to work, stick to a plan, and sometimes get advice that they might not like.
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct.
Good.
And one other thing that I would bring up also is we've talked about, do I need a financial advisor? What does a financial advisor do? When do I get a financial advisor? But we haven't addressed the part about, how do I choose a financial advisor?
Oh, yeah.
Now, there's a lot of schools of thought out on that. And obviously, I'm old school. You're new school. You are a certified financial planner, and all of the credentials that come with achieving that significant designation, you've accumulated all of that, and you've done very well, especially for someone as young as you. You've done very well in accumulating that.
Would you say that you're proud of me?
Yes, I would say that, but that does not mean that you're going to get any inheritance. Anyway, because I said earlier we're spending all of that. But selecting the right advisor, even with all the credentials you've got, there's something that I look for in any relationship I've got when I'm looking for counsel. And what I'm looking for is, can the person and can we connect? And I mean, can we connect at the soul level? When this person is speaking to me, are they truly hearing me and not just having me in the room as a resounding gong making noise? So whenever I recommend to everyone, if you're looking and you're interviewing with a financial advisor, pay real close attention. Is that advisor truly hearing your heart?
Yeah.
Is that financial advisor hearing what it is you're trying to accomplish? Is that financial advisor asking questions that cause you to stop and think? Do you feel like a relationship is being developed, or do you feel like a transaction is getting ready to take place?
Yeah.
One or the other. So what we try to do, and what I try to encourage all clients that work with us in the financial planning side of the practice, is just come in, bare your soul. Tell us what you're trying to get done. Help us understand what that means to you. That way, whenever we're able to build their plans, we do it based off of their objective without putting any of our biases in it. And so when you're interviewing a financial advisor, yes, look at their credentials, look at how long they've been in the industry, look at what their support mechanism looks like, but do you actually feel that this person is paying attention to you and that you're the most important person in the room?
Yeah. The two big things to look at is competency and connection. Can they do what they're advising? Can they provide advice? Can they serve in that role? And then, do you have a connection? That's
Absolutely.
great. That's
Absolutely.
great.
Well, Ryan, what I would say to you that's about all I've got today to bring to this. But I would say to this, why don't you tell the folks out in social media land, unless you've got something else, but tell the folks out in social media land how they can get in touch with us.
Yeah. So if you guys want to learn more about the My Father Said podcast, or you want to learn more about the Templeton Group in general, feel free to check us out on our website. Feel free to check us out on social media and listen wherever you listen to podcasts.
Absolutely. All right. That it?
I think that's it.
Good deal. I hope our producer, Scott, has been enjoying this. He's off camera. Our listeners can't see him, but he's making faces at us, and he's putting things inside. Yeah, stuff like that. Stuff like that all throughout the podcast. We're trying to keep a straight face on while he is trying to just get us off our game. But anyway, see you soon. This is the My Father Said podcast. We're signing off.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Robert. We'll see you next time.
The opinions voiced in this video are for general information only and are not specific advice or recommendations for any individual. All performance reference is historical and is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. Economic forecasts set forth may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that strategies promoted will be successful.